How do I set a recurring field in the common data service? I've got it! I had this really annoying problem. I've got a use case where I've got a thing that needs to be serviced on a regular basis. And the data's in a CDS. And this thing has to be serviced on the date that it came into service on an interval of 35 days. And it's been doing my head in because I want to put that on the data layer. I wanted to show somewhere and in the common data service the next scheduled interval for the service. So like, 35 days from the 31st of April, let's say. I was really struggling to do it. So I put together a little Excel chart. So here we go. And I knew that, say that this is the service start date, which would be the 1st of April 2019, right? And that will give me the service interval, right? It's the service interval of 35 days, and there you can see there's my service intervals. And I know that I've got today's date, right? I know I can get that to calculate where I need to be. And this calculation is correct. This one here is absolutely spot on. So what was really annoying is this calculation isn't going to work, because in the calculated fields you only allowed the most basic of operators, plus, subtract, divide and multiply. There's a bunch of other date functions in there, like date diff, add date, subtract date. It's really handy because it's going to enable us to work out the next scheduled date. But the round up thing is really key, because you need to round up that division to make sure that you're getting to the next service date. Otherwise you end up with something in between, and you don't want that. So how are we going to do it? Right, so figured it out finally after I did the washing up. So we're in the common data service. I've got some data. It's the new version of the common data service, which is really whizzy, and it does all this kind of super stuff with data. So we're going to add a field. So I've got my date that the hose, in this case, it's an airline hose, that they're very high pressure, they can be very dangerous, so we need to make sure they're serviced every 35 days. So this is the date that the hose entered service. So what we need to do is create a field that the calculation sits within, but that's not going to work because we can only use those operators. So let's go ahead and create the fields that we need. So I'm going to create two calculation fields. So we're going to call this one calc days. The reason why we're going to call it calc days is I actually don't want people to use this field. I'll probably put some other change the display name later on and say that it's something different. So whole number, and we need to add a calculation field to this one. So we'll save that. Okay, we've got our calculation window up now, and all we're going to do is we want to set calc date to something. So we're going to say we want to do diff in days, and that takes the start date and time and the end date in time. Okay, so that's going to be our two date variances. So the two date variances we need are the CR blah 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 date in service, this thing here, and now, right? So now is there as a function. And we need to divide that by 35 days, which is our interval. So we hit OK, and that should work. Save that. So now we should see on the data in the common data service, we should see a new field, new custom field. There you go, calc day. Right. So how many intervals are there since this thing? Right, so let's see. We need to have another field now, which will be called the next scheduled service. And that's going to be a date only. So again, we don't need an if condition at the top, we just need an action in this case. So now we're going to add days to the start of the service date. So the date it came into service, we're going to add a number of days to that. Now add days, you need to give it the number of days to add and then the date. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it the C, whatever our thing is, calc days, which is the number of days we're going to add, and then we're going to give it the start date, which is date in service. And this calc day, the calc day, we need to multiply that by our service interval, which is 35. And if we hit the tick box, sorry, you might have noticed there that I had that red underline. That's because I've got Grammarly installed because I can't spell. So I hit the tick box, save and close, and go back to our data, and we can see now that we've got this lovely service date here. And if we come back to our Excel spreadsheet, because we should always validate our data, so if I put some of these start service dates in, so we've got one there which is the 26th of April, so that means we should have a service date there, first service date of the 31st of May, which is correct, and then a secondary line there which will be the date in service, which will be the 31st of the 3rd 2019, and we get back the next service schedule, which would be number 2, second one along there, which is the 9th of the 6th, and in this case it's backwards because it's American date format, but you can see quite clearly there that we are absolutely on the right track. Everything is working as it should be. Hey everyone, if you want to see me make more videos, click the subscribe button or follow me on Twitter. My hashtag should be about there.